All right, what's going on, y'all? So today I've got Jacqueline, my wife, on the channel today. This has been a question I've been getting a little bit recently on, y'all should do a couples Q&A, and I've gotten this on both here on the channel and then on Instagram. So yesterday I put out a Q&A on Instagram, and we got some great questions from y'all. So this is gonna be her first full time on the channel. Y'all have probably seen some glimpses of her, but this is our first full time on the channel. So I'm excited for this. So I'll give a little intro before we get into this. So as y'all know, I'm 32 years old. I've lived here in Austin, Texas for about the last 6 or 7 years. And then prior to that, I've lived in literally like 8 or 9 states, partially for, being a firefighter before and then in the military. And then before that, as a kid, we moved around a lot just due to my dad's businesses and everything. So that's my little intro.
I'm Jacqueline. I'm Braden, or Seraphim's wife, and I'm from North Dakota. I was raised on a ranch, and I've only lived here in Austin for 3 years now. Oh, almost 3 years. But yeah, that's my story.
Yeah, so she said Seraphim, so that's going to be a video, we're going to in depth and in the future, but that's my Christian name. So if you hear, her refer to it, or you see it down in the comments, that's, people from our church, or she refers to me here at the house as Seraphim. Okay, so let's get into it. So, how long have you been married, and how many children do you have? Blessings. So this is going to be a great point for us to talk about kind of how we met and everything before we get into that question. So do you want to roll with that, baby?
Yeah. So we met on Instagram. Actually, he commented on my story in my DMs, and I responded. And
I told her she had beautiful eyes.
So. And that just hit my heart right there. But so.
Yeah, so me in particular, I had done a little bit of time on dating apps. And to be honest with y'all, I literally did not go on one date. I would connect with a woman on one of these dating apps. And then we would have like literally 2 sentences go back and forth. And then they would be like, "Are you ready to meet now?" It was like I literally couldn't get to know anybody before they just wanted to meet up. And I wasn't looking to just, hook up. So, I was trying to date for marriage. And so we connected on Instagram, and initially we both, I wasn't actively searching, and she was not really open or looking at all. No. And so we messaged back and forth for a little bit. And then after probably about 3 weeks, she ended up calling me. So I gave her my number. She called me when she was comfortable, and then literally 20 minutes into the call, I was like, this is going to be my wife. So we're both INFJ personalities, which are kind of rare to find. And we're definitely quirky in our own way. So the way we think and everything. So right early on, we both discovered we're INFJs, and it was on ever since then. We literally didn't spend a minute not on the phone or FaceTiming until she moved down, 3 months later?
Yeah, I moved down 3 months in.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is before we were Christian. We both believed in Jesus, but we both came from other Christian backgrounds, which we'll get to in a minute. We weren't with, the Orthodox church. So we didn't really have, a deep faith foundation. But we'll get into how the church has, what it's done to our relationship in a future question. So back to this one is, how long have you been married, and how many children do you have? Blessings. So we've been together for three years now.
3 years and married 4 months.
Yeah, so we got married last October. We've been married for 4 months. And we don't have any children yet.
But we have a dog.
We have a fur baby, Bella. With the children thing, this is going to be the perfect lead up into this next question. So under this new vision of yours, and I'm assuming they mean Orthodox, how do you experience sex? Is it the same as before? I'll let you. Why don't you go and start on your view on birth control and all that?
So I stopped birth control, I think, at like 25 or 26 because I was just scared of the overall risk of it, like being or making me not able to have kids. Like, yes, it helped with like hormones and controlling my period at the time, but I obviously got off of it because of the major health risk down the road, and I do want children, so I just was scared of the risk of not being able to have kids, and I didn't want that risk, so I took it out. Yeah,
when we first got together, she hadn't been on birth control for quite a while. It was years, right? Yeah, and it was mainly due to health, and that was something that up until we met, I hadn't really heard of. Most women I had encountered over the last decade, were on birth control of some kind. And so then I immediately did research on it, and sure enough, found out that it's not healthy. So back to the question of, under this new vision of yours, how do you experience sex? So with me, you all have, if you followed along the channel, that, me being a pro bodybuilder and everything, I used steroids. And then, because I used steroids for so many years, I have to be on TRT now, testosterone replacement therapy. Or, I essentially have little to no testosterone. And I didn't have testosterone, optimal testosterone levels prior to even doing steroids. That was one of the reasons that I ended up getting on TRT initially, and then that kind of led into steroids. So kind of like a gateway drug. But I've been on a moderate amount of TRT for the last about a year and a half. I've been on 175 milligrams a week. Now with that, that in itself kind of acts as birth control. So us being Orthodox Christian, we don't believe in birth control, and we believe that God wants us to have children, and as many children as He has designed for us. So, and we've already been at the point where we have felt called to wanting to have children. So, first off, with the TRT thing, this is something that I'm currently dealing with right now on how to go ahead and handle this, because in order to do this, I'm going to have to run a baby making protocol or do fertility drugs and everything. So first off, what I'm doing is I'm starting HCG along with my TRT, and hopefully the HCG for a few months, that'll get everything rolling again, along with other fertility meds to allow us to conceive. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to have to start pulling my testosterone dose down. And if we can't conceive on just TRT with HCG and the other fertility meds, I'm going to probably have to do a period of time where I come off testosterone completely. It's something I'm hoping to mitigate. There's a lot of negative effects that come with that, but we are actively trying to conceive. So with that, how has it changed sex? So we had a great sex life prior to the church, very romantic sex life, but we weren't trying to conceive. So her not being on birth control, even though I'm on TRT, I don't act like that's, perfect protection. While rare, bodybuilders still get pregnant even while in a steroid cycle. So me being on TRT, while it still acts as birth control, it can still happen. So I've essentially been doing what I need to do to not allow the seed to be planted over the last several years. So, and now we've stopped that. So I would say that's the only thing that's really changed with our sex life is we're having sex more, and we're doing what we need to do to conceive. Okay, so were you raised Orthodox or did you convert? So this is back to the question. This is a good time for us to, I think, talk about our journey going into the church. So
I was raised Catholic and Roman Catholic my whole life, so I didn't know anything else. And when I moved down, Braden is Protestant and at the born again church, and so I just followed him because I didn't know.
We're non-denominational. So I grew up Protestant, non-denominational, kind of going to mega churches, what a lot of people here in America do. And I've talked about this a little bit in other videos on it. This probably needs a whole video on its own, but I've been actively seeking God in a spiritual life since I was probably 18, 19 years old. So in college, I went through Roman Catholic RCIA to be confirmed in the Catholic Church on my own. And I never ended up getting confirmed. Didn't quite feel like I felt aligned there or felt God's presence. And then after college, I went through a period of time where I studied Buddhism. I studied Hinduism. I got into New Age spirituality. This was during that time of when I was ultra running before being a bodybuilder. I was spending all this times on the trails. I was doing fasting and certain different things to try to experience God. And I kept coming back to a Protestant mega church because that's where my family was going and what I had grown up in. But it never felt like I had a deep relationship with God or even felt God at all in the church. And so, it was something that, I was very actively seeking the whole time. And so she moved down, we were going to the church together, and we both very much felt the same thing. It was very much just like checking a box off weekly, and we were only going to the mega church maybe, a couple times a month. And it more felt like a coffee social hour where we're being entertained by, a rock band on stage, a pastor who's more worried about, his clothes and what he wears, and and all of that. And I'm sure, several of y'all watching the video kind of know what I'm talking about.
We wanted more traditionalism.
We wanted devotion to God.
Right.
We wanted to worship God.
And be just present with God, not be entertained the whole time.
Yeah.
Where it's on a script for an hour.
And so I had never, even through all my active seeking over the last decade, I had never really heard of the Orthodox Church. I had obviously heard of the Catholic Church. I had heard of, obviously all the Protestant churches. I had never heard of it. And she found someone on Instagram and started sending me reels, and the messages were aligning very much with me. And so then, I started looking into what is this, and I found the Orthodox Church, and from there, I went down the history rabbit hole. And it all very much aligned, and it kind of awakened my eyes to, once you go down the history rabbit hole of the church, it's very illuminating. So we found a Greek Orthodox church right by us, and we were about to go there, but then Jacqueline, she's Russian Ukrainian, so she found a Russian church about 20 minutes away, and we went there, and literally from the time we stepped in the church, we experienced God more than we ever have in any other church. And ever since then, there's just been confirmation after confirmation that this is it. So, our lives have very much changed, and we'll get into more questions about that in a second. Well, kind of leading into this, I don't really know a lot about Eastern Orthodox. What are some of their beliefs or traditions? So we're catechumen. So we're not, baptized in the church yet. So, I don't want to speak with authority here, but we believe in the Holy Trinity. So God the Father, Christ the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. Now, where this changes with, say, Protestantism. So if you study Protestantism, that came out of Martin Luther in the 1500s. And he basically had a problem with the papacy, the Pope, the Roman Catholic Pope. I believe it was 1054 AD is when the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church split off. And it split because basically they wanted one central authority, the Pope, whereas the Orthodox Church was based off of the church fathers and all that. So the way this differs, say from Protestantism. So Protestantism believes in sola scriptura, so only the interpretation of the Bible. Now the problem with this is, prior to 300 AD, there was no canonized Bible. So all the Christians essentially were going off of the apostolic tradition. The apostles set up the church, and they were going off of the tradition the apostles have set up. And so, you gotta think that before there was any Bible, this was a time when Christians, pretty much everyone that was signing up to be a Christian and baptized, was being martyred almost immediately after. It was like you pretty much knew if you were being baptized, your death is right around the corner. And yet they were so on fire for becoming Christian. Their faith was so devout. And this is before any Bible. It was all through apostolic tradition. So when you put it there, that's where, we personally don't believe, and the Orthodox Church doesn't believe, that you can just go off of the scripture. You go off of the church tradition, the apostolic tradition, and the Bible. So this is where our divine liturgy, our services, this has been passed down for literally thousands of years. And we also, there's a lot of differences, but we believe the Eucharist, taking communion, is the literal body and blood of Christ. It's not just a symbol that's used, say, like in the Protestant church. And then, a question we've gotten a lot from our Protestant friends is, well, don't you worship saints? No, we venerate saints. First off, in the Greek language, and that's where studying language is also important with this, there's three different levels of worship. So at like and I don't know the three Greek words off the top of my head, but basically there's a top level of worship, and that's how we worship God the Father, the Holy Spirit, Christ. The second level, this is how we worship Theotokos, Mary, Virgin Mary. And then the third level is how we venerate saints. We honor saints, but the saints essentially are like our heroes. These are people that a lot of times were martyred for the faith, but their faith and how they lived their life was on another level for Christ. They reached, or they were very closer to reaching theosis. And so what we believe is theosis is, throughout our lifetimes, we should be becoming more and more Christ-like. We should be becoming more in union with Christ, and our lives should be a reflection of that. So this was something that we saw right away when we went into the Orthodox churches. the families and the people were so different than anything we'd ever experienced. The children, the people, these people are more Christ-like than anything we had ever experienced. Not to say, they're perfect or anything like that, but the whole point is that, we believe we're saved by faith. But, if your works aren't reflective of that, then your faith is dead, essentially. Do you really have that faith? Your works should be in alignment. You should be bearing good fruit.
Not just raising your hand.
Yeah. So we don't believe in the once saved, always saved that, the Protestants believe. We believe that, our lives, we're trying to reach theosis, and our lives are reflective of that. And we're not ones to judge, only God can judge, but that's where, who are we to say we're saved? Only that we won't know that until we die, and it's our whole lives that are essentially supposed to be in alignment with what Christ taught us. So that's kind of just little points. There's a lot that goes into how the Eastern Orthodox, what we believe compared to say Protestantism. I'm not going to speak a lot on Roman Catholicism because I haven't really spent a lot of time in that, and I know there's a lot more similarities with Roman Catholic to us. But we are very much in alignment with how the early apostles set up the church. And then the church fathers, so the ones literally that came right after the apostles, they have basically, carried this on, and we go off of the traditions they set up. All right, so the next question is for me, and this is a great question. How does the Lent fast, Great Lent, work for an IBB pro? I skipped the fast to stay on plan, but I feel guilty about it. What about you? So this has been something that God has worked on me a lot over the last several months. So, and really over the last year and a half. And the last year and a half, if y'all have watched, I've been going through a journey, and that's how I think we're open to finding the Orthodox Church. Getting, God calling me to get off steroids and retire from pro bodybuilding, kind of when I was really, really pushing up it as being a pro. We've had a big journey. And so what's been happening over the last several months is, God relinquishing, and you got to think, guys, my business, I'm a coach and I'm an in-person trainer. So my business, a lot of it is tied to my physique and my performance. And so this has been something that, God has been very much working on me to kind of relinquish, maybe ego's the right word, I don't know, relinquish basically my connection to my physique. And so for me personally, no, I've been doing the fast. I've been doing the fast completely compliant, and using those days to not really be concerned at all about my physique, putting all the focus on God and my prayer life and everything like that. So with Great Lent, with Great Lent, and I'm going to do a whole video on how I'm approaching Great Lent as a fitness coach. But no, I'm not doing that this time to focus on my physique. This time is to focus on, getting closer to God, my prayer life and all of that, and being, having sacrifice given to God. So I would say if you're feeling guilty about it, that's probably, God working on you to maybe reconsider, how you approach it. But, you guys got to think also, it's a month and a half long. If you were to completely just screw your physique and not, we've got a cookbook coming out here soon with high protein meals and all that, to where you can still have your physique through Great Lent, not stress about losing your physique and ruining your goals. But even if you were to do that, was that big?
And like we were told the other day, like we can still have like scallops or like shrimp, like that way you can still have that in your meals, like that still will. Yeah,
you can have high protein meals. And our cookbook is designed for that. But I'm saying, even if you were to completely just, if you wanted to do one meal a day, not even high protein focused, and really take it really, an aesthetic approach, your physique absolutely is going to detract over that month and a half. But there's something called muscle memory that it wouldn't take long after that to bounce right back. So, I would say, what's more important to you? Is it your faith and devotion to God, or is it your physique? We all have things to work on, and this can be a time to sanctify you. And that's this has been a time over the last several months where I've gone through the same thing. So I completely understand where you're at. I've dealt a lot with, how to approach even social media. You can see how my Instagram's changing, and it's not as much like shirtless pictures and all of that, because I don't feel, it's just, God has been working on me through this entire process of, my relation to my physique, and what it means to be a true Christian and all of that. And so, me personally with Great Lent, I'm doing Great Lent the proper way, and God's been even working on me to even take certain periods, and I'm only doing this, like we said, we're catechumen. I'm only doing this if I have the blessing from my spiritual father, Father Moses, but God's even been weighing on me to do multi-day water fasts, like I had done some way back in the day during Great Lent as well. So I'm not going to be focusing on my physique at all during Great Lent. All right, so I have another question as well. What hair care products do you use? So I use minoxidil. That's to prevent hair loss. I've been doing that for probably the last 4 years since I've been pro bodybuilding. Other than that, I occasionally will put like Hans de Foucault. It's like a hair paste in my hair, but I don't really use hair products. It's literally just the minoxidil, and that's about it. I kind of just let it go.
When you had your longer hair, you were using the curly Moroccan oil, like shampoo, conditioner.
She had me hooked up with like a good hair care routine. But okay, I do use a good shampoo and conditioner, and I use a DHT blocking shampoo and conditioner. So it helps, just like with the minoxidil, it helps prevent hair shedding and all of that. But besides the shampoo, conditioner, and minoxidil, that's it. Okay, how has your faith brought you closer together?
Since we've been going here, like we've been definitely under some spiritual warfare, and I feel like that's brought us closer because we've had to choose love and not just like go through the motions. Like we don't really feel like in the Protestant church, it just kind of feels stagnant. So nothing was really coming out. We were just going about our lives, and now that we've come to the Orthodox church, it's just like January took a year.
Yeah, guys, I'm telling you, like I'm sure all of you, in the Orthodox church know. It was like the second we stepped foot into the church, it was like game on. I mean, it was, since we've been catechumen, we've had confirmation on both feeling God's presence and how he's been directing our lives. And then on the flip side, we have had like legitimate, very tangible spiritual warfare on multiple fronts. And this can be a topic if y'all want me to go into on another video. But, I grew up hearing about spiritual warfare in the Protestant church, but that was more of like, if something bad is going on in your life, well, it's spiritual warfare. Something, you hear, you have maybe depression, spiritual warfare. I'm talking, we've been having very tangible, I'm not going to get into it in this video because that's a whole video topic for another time. Plus, I'm sure many of you already probably think we're crazy, but we have over the last several months been going through some very legitimate, tangible spiritual warfare like I've never seen in my life.
The devil's trying very hard.
Very hard to keep us out, but it's only furthered our faith. And then, like I said, on the other side, we've had so many confirmations from God that, we feel God's presence, and our prayer life, the deeper our prayer life gets, the more it protects us against the spiritual warfare. And it's been incredible to see. Now with how has our faith brought us close together? So with that, we've been much more intentional on being in service to each other. And so, just like she said, we've been choosing love. And then with that, like say, we've been doing the cookbook over the last several weeks. We've been doing the cookbook, and guys, like, while I believe, it could bless us in some way, this is not a money-making thing. This is going to be very niched. It's going to be for Orthodox Christians. This isn't something we did to make money. This is truly something that we did to bless our church. This came about because our church was asking basically for how to manage Great Lent and do it with high protein meals and all of that. And my spiritual father encouraged us to do this. And so we wanted to put our knowledge as bodybuilders, on how to do this. And so us doing this, in pure service to other Christians, we have felt God's grace so much over this time. So what I'm saying is us being more in service to each other, but then also us being in service to God and the church together, like us not separately doing things, but together doing things. We have felt God's grace in our relationship so much, and it's brought us so close together. So us, being in the Orthodox church has absolutely strengthened our relationship.
I agree.
I think you had a couple questions.
I do.
So we have a lot of like serious, like faith-based questions. So we wanted to just throw in of our own a couple kind of fun ones.
Yeah. So like, what's a guilty pleasure show or movie you secretly love? Seraphim likes to watch my love drama shows with me that men aren't supposed to or want to be known to watch, but he enjoys them. So
I'm not admitting to that, but she did make me watch Frozen one day. We ended up binging Frozen 1 and 2. I'll just say that.
You love them. Where's the other one? It was, who's the better cook and what's your go-to meal?
She's definitely the better cook. I'm really good at making like tasty bodybuilder meals, but she's an incredible cook. She's an incredible cook and she's incredible at painting. Her creativity is just incredible. So she's an incredible cook. My favorite meal I think she does is actually dessert. It's but is it banana muffins? Is that what they're called?
Banana bread muffins with brown butter
Oh,
frosting.
it's so good. That's what I wanted after my last bodybuilding show a couple years ago. That was the thing I wanted right after the show.
You ate them all.
Yeah. So what would your favorite meal, I guess, be?
So I love when you make us burgers, but I also love when we make homemade pizza. I think that's my favorite. I could have that. If I had to have one meal for the rest of my life, that would be it.
It's super simple, guys, and I put it up on my Instagram all the time. And we need to probably do a video on it. It's super simple, but we do pizzas at least once a week here at the house. Super high protein, and they're delicious. And then you don't feel bad after because it's not a bunch of grease and all of that.
No, I agree. It's so good.
So that's I think that's going to wrap up our Q&A. If you guys want to see more of this, you want us to expand in any of these questions, definitely let us know down in the comments. But I love my wife and I would love her to be on the channel more. So definitely encourage her to be. This has been a long time me coming, trying to, asking her to be a part of the channel. So I was super excited for this today.
I've just been nervous because I like being behind the camera and taking his content. So this is very out of my element, but
we're both
I'm
introverts.
trying to get used to it.
Even though it doesn't seem like it with me here on YouTube, we're both very much introverts. And so we're extroverted introverts. I'll say that. The INFJ thing is we're weird, but
we can adapt to our surroundings.
Yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please go ahead and do us a favor and smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any comments or questions you have for us. God bless y'all and have a great rest of your day.